So apparently, as of today, which would be the 5th of October, the death toll from Hurricane Ian is still rising. The storm hasn't been a thing for several days. They were like, it's going to make re-landfall at the Carolinas, and what hit the Carolinas was like a puff of cloud, bit of rain. Now, if you watch the actual storm track, where it went, and what was going on in the Atlantic Ocean at the same time, there was a southward moving squall line of inflow storms that were feeding into the main storm. When these crossed Florida to get to the storm, which was still over Cuba and in the Gulf of Mexico at the time, this was literally the day before landfall on Florida, there were something like 6 or more instances of tornadoes from those storms. Not from the actual spinning storm proper, but from this thing coming along down the coast. So I'm looking at all the pictures and videos and such of the destruction. And there's a juxtaposition happening where they will take storm surge damage and wind damage and use them interchangeably. Just call it destruction, devastation, damage. The reality is, these are two different types of destruction caused by two different types of things. So in the scenes where you can see boats up in the street and floodwaters have knocked down like landscaping walls or whatever, things like that, in those places, you will see that the shingles on the roofs of the buildings are all intact. This means that the wind destruction there was negligible. They're not even flipped up. There's not like, one or two, like, you look at the roof and there's like one of them that's like that. Just nothing like that. When you look at the places where there is building devastation, the first thing you'll notice is most of the stuff that is bent, twisted, and exploded is outdoor awning construction. Large steel or wood parachutes that are made to protect from the top, but if the wind gets underneath of it, whoo, the whole thing goes. The actual structures that were destroyed were only trailers. And I'm not saying this to minimize the loss of people whose homes were down there, but you live in a hurricane zone and you live in a matchbox. If you think that mobile home trailers, even modular homes, are constructed to the same degree of structural integrity as an actual house, you are mistaken. They are meant to be lightweight, easily movable, relatively speaking, with the semi-truck. The majority of these trailers that people live in Florida are there from the 70s and 80s. Or they've already been destroyed in hurricanes and have been replaced by insurance, which means cheap and quickly built. Everything that gets frequently replaced due to hurricanes is cheaply built because there is no point investing too much in the way of making things safe and secure and everything else if it's just going to get dashed anyway and you got to rebuild it again anyway. This keeps the price down and more economical. So everything that got destroyed is trailers, lean-to shacks, garages, little beach huts, stuff that is basically made out of like 1/4 or 1/2 inch wafer board plywood, not the 3/4 like you would sheath a building with. The stud work in these looks like it is made out of 1x1 pine, maybe 1x3. No, so what was it? There's 2x2 squares and there's like 1x3, 1x stud. So these things are meant to have structural integrity under normal calm circumstances, but the wind comes and knocks it over or blows things into it or gets inside the place, and it's just a confetti balloon. Buildings with concrete or cinder block foundations may have flooded their basements, but they did not collapse. The overhead views where they showed the devastation and it's like, okay, so the grass got covered in mud. People's stuff in their lawns got washed away. Some fences got knocked down, and in a few places, trailers are obliterated. And in between those places, what they're not pointing out but letting you see is that all of the regular, real buildings are intact. I saw a picture of a causeway that leads out to one of the keys or something, and there was some kind of a sandbar erosion because of the storm surge, and like a pylon on this causeway gave in. And again, water damage versus wind damage, not the same thing. All the footage of the storm surge coming in, the trees are not bent over, not even from the water. The palm fronds are blown like this, but the trees are like this. If this was a Cat 4 pushing Cat 5, most devastating storm we've ever seen, the palm trees would start going like this, and these would go like this until they dash themselves on the ground and uproot. That begins at Category 4. Wind speeds are 180 miles an hour or something for that. Look it up, because I'm just throwing a number out, but that's what it seems close in the range of what I recall, because I have looked it up. This is what I'm seeing. And of course, they memory hole. There is no list of weather telemetry unless you really, really know how to find it. And if the average person doesn't know how to find it, the average person cannot be in the know. This becomes occulted or elite information. Weather data. So everybody else is going to talk about Twitter rather than talk about Russia and nukes or whatever. Because the hurricane thing is now past, but they're still just, all I can say of it is, do not donate to hurricane relief. Just don't. If you know that they've been lying to you about the strength and everything else about it, and then they're like, oh, we need your help, but we need so much money, we need your help. Okay, well, I already caught you lying about the thing you're asking me to help with. Why would I contribute financially to something I know is a lie? But most people don't want to feel like an asshole for being right. People are willing to go along with being wrong just to not have some weird inner emotional sense of something that an external source has implanted into their subconscious to make them feel guilty for being right.